better, faster, cheaper. Conventional wisdom says you can't have all three, but we're finding that modern AI is challenging that, and that the new AI customer service systems will actually be all of the above and change the economics of customer service and digital business in fundamental ways. In this episode of Offscript, Intercom President Archana Agrawal will take us on a journey through this change. She'll share how AI has not only improved service quality, but may finally cause customer service to be viewed by some brave brands as an opportunity to drive value rather than simply be a burdensome cost. As we figure this all out together, I think this will be highly valuable viewing for everyone involved in the business side of online business. I hope you enjoy.
Businesses were operating at internet scale, catering to a global audience, but yet the pressure on them is to reduce costs, to have better profit margins. And that has become incredibly hard as these businesses scale. So they always come down to, hey, can we shave a few percent points from customer support? And that's what ends up happening in trying to pursue this efficiency. Really, the question is, how much do you care about your customers and how are you going to invest in their experience? Customer service has always been part of businesses, but there was almost, I want to say, a golden age of customer service where it was built into transactions. It was built into how businesses worked with their customers. And that's because retailers and service providers were all local. People bought within their neighborhoods, within their cities. And so the transactions were very, very personal. It was maybe in the post-war era, I would say, where customers were spanning countries, continents, and then businesses realized that they actually needed a professional customer service function. The idea that you needed a customer service team only happened when businesses started expanding beyond their local regions. And it started with phone. Think about the call centers, the IVR systems, the 1-800 numbers. That's when it started. That was maybe in about 1980s, 1990s, where businesses started outsourcing their customer service to third-party vendors. And that's when you had these globalized, large call centers coming up in different locations. And then maybe in late 1990s, early 2000s, when CRM and customer databases became things that businesses were adopting, that's when email became such a dominant channel.
You've got mail.
After that, business messengers, social channels, all of these have really vastly improved the access that customers have to their businesses in order to get support and service when they need. With the internet, the way businesses provided service changed. The way customers expected service also changed. The same technical advances that helped businesses move so fast, they made information available to customers so easily. Information, services, customers were empowered. And so they started expecting their businesses to provide that information, that support, just as easily. There were social channels that they took to in order to be able to express their opinions, their positive and negative experiences with businesses. And as a result, that actually increased the pressure to provide better customer service. Businesses were operating at internet scale, catering to a global audience, but yet the pressure on them is to reduce costs, to have better profit margins. And that has become incredibly hard as these businesses scale. Now that the consumers themselves expect speedy, accurate, convenient service, this has become mandatory for businesses to deliver on that. It is how they can fuel their brand. It is how they can ensure the retention. This has been a paradox for businesses, right? Study after study, we all know that investing in great customer service and treating your customers right, there's great business outcomes for that. And on the other hand, businesses are also under intense pressure for profitability. And as they look at their profit margins, they try to figure out, how do we keep these as high as possible and how do we reduce costs? So they always come down to, hey, can we shave a few percent points from customer support? And that's what ends up happening in trying to pursue this efficiency. It is true that by pulling back your customer support investments by a percentage or two, it doesn't mean that customers are going to leave immediately. But eventually, they get frustrated. And in very public ways, they say, hey, what happened? You used to care. So it's become very important for businesses to understand that it is not a trade-off of a percentage here and there. Really, the question is, how much do you care about your customers and how are you going to invest in their experience? Around the time of 1990s, 2000, that's when businesses started deflecting customer queries, right? And it was a way to reduce the number of direct interactions and control costs. But it actually held a number of businesses back when the methods that they used were to introduce friction. It's hard to find how to get in touch with customer service, as an example. And in the early days of this deflection was the early chatbots. And then you saw IVRs and autoresponders. Sometimes they worked, and sometimes they created negative customer experiences when people couldn't get through to the business and be able to get their questions answered. When badly done, these kind of deflection tactics, yes, they may have controlled business costs, but they didn't help the business in the long run. A poor customer experience cannot help. It always resulted in upset customers. There have been many businesses that have innovated in order to create great customer service. I mean, think about Zappos. They put customer delight front and center. Amazon, they've invested so much in great customer experiences, and they used technical innovation in order to do that. In fact, businesses today think about very customer-friendly refund policies. When they know they have repeat customers, they're able to provide much faster refunds to those customers without actually hurting the business. And then there's like Nordstrom. That's another example where they invested in making sure that whether online or in stores, customers feel like they get a seamless, personalized experience. So it's possible to invest in your customer service and see the returns as these businesses have in terms of repeat purchases and customer loyalty, great customer satisfaction. AI changes the economics of customer service. Now, it's possible to provide great customer service that's faster and even more cost-effective. Every question that comes into a business, it has some degree of value for the customer and for the business. But to understand how AI can actually change the economics of all of this, consider every question categorized with maybe 3 dimensions: complexity, urgency, personalization. And when you think about it in this format, you can actually see which questions should we have AI resolve fast and where do we need human intervention. Low complexity, low urgency, low personalization. We should have AI agents resolve these immediately. Fast, instant answers. And then the agents can spend their time actually working on more complex problems, and customers have gotten very quick responses that are accurate. Or maybe there's low complexity, high personalization, like I want to know my last transaction details. And now, if AI has access to your data stores, it can actually immediately read that transaction information and provide it to the customer. And then there's high complexity queries, right? That's where humans shine. Empathy, expertise, where you're able to then use your trained agents to be able to answer customer questions. The category of high complexity, high personalization. Think about that as getting a customer to start using your product. Proactive support can provide personalized onboarding instructions to help a user get started in using product. And frankly, that's such a revenue-generating activity that I see support teams participating in the future. And once you've implemented AI in all of these systems, that's when you start seeing the metrics go up and to the right? You see improved customer satisfaction. You're happier customers because they get faster answers. You have better profit margins, happier employees, more effective employees, and all the metrics that we measure, COGS, FRT, CSAT, they all go in the right direction. It's actually interesting to think about it that while AI can be more cost-effective, it actually is probably quite expensive compared to what it will be in the future. That's how technology has always evolved, right? Think about your personal computers and your mobile phones. Initially, they were hard to get, but then they became so affordable that they had vast adoption. Similarly, businesses who can take the most advantage today of AI will be able to realize cost benefits today. But even as they scale, they're not going to see their expenses scale like the traditional methods. And so finally, AI puts businesses in a place to be able to provide high quality, cost-effective, and very, very speedy service. Businesses can step into adopting AI. It's not an all or nothing. They get to decide what day one is going to look like. Think about this as having multiple levels. Level 0, all human support, no AI. Level 1 is AI at a task level. It focuses on low complexity tasks that are repeated over and over, and we can actually provide agent efficiency by automating some of these. That helps improve agent productivity.
Level 2, that would be workflow level automation and AI.
You can take some parts of a workflow or all of a workflow and automate it away or use AI in portions. And that can actually help improve the productivity of a team. So if you use an AI agent today, a chatbot that can help answer some of the customer queries and deflect and route the more complex ones to agent, that would be a workflow level automation. And then level 3, which would be exception level. So sometimes things don't work and you need to have workarounds or exception handling. Maybe take a query and hand it to a different bot. That would be another level of adoption. And then level 4, which is the holy grail, where you actually use AI to help transform the way customer service operates, the entire function operates. And think about that as maybe providing AI to help personalize the customer experience at every touch point, where you can actually completely revolutionize the way the function operates. So it's not an all or nothing. You get to choose, and you get to start small and scale up. Customer service teams are going to be moving from being more reactive to more proactive. They're going to be more creative, more consultative in nature. You'll find that there'll be new roles created. Those that are working on knowledge content or AI conversation design. Adoption of AI is anyways going to be a journey of continuous improvement. So you will see a lot of training and upskilling in the process. In fact, it's super exciting to think that, in the near future, customer service teams, I believe, are going to be some of the first ones in organizations to be AI-enabled in terms of how they think and how they design their processes. As such, the function's also going to take on larger responsibilities. Now that they'll be working on more complex tasks, it will also be going ahead into more revenue-generating roles. We talked about proactive support, being able to help customers adopt to products, being able to ensure that we're able to provide guidance to customers before they hit any sort of service issues. And so these are going to become very critical aspects of the role. And businesses will choose to structure the teams in the ways that make most sense for their strategy. Some would lean towards white glove, complete human support. That will be their differentiator. And the others will move towards being able to automate a lot of their customer service through AI and automation. And given that AI adoption is going to be gradual in organizations, it's also going to foster a culture of continuous improvement. At the end of the day, AI agents must also improve. They're not perfect, and human agents also have an error rate. But by focusing on how we can go through continuous improvement and work through providing the right content and context to the AI agents, we will improve the resolution rates over time. The way customer service teams measure their work will also change. For example, average handle time, which is a common metric today. Well, that's actually going to increase because the simpler queries are already being handled by AI, and the harder, more complex ones come to the agents, which will take longer time. And a lot of the metrics might actually move on to be inference-based, where you infer from the user behavior and their future actions whether the experience was successful. When a customer has a query and gets a response from the system, their future actions will help determine whether the customer had a good resolution or whether they needed additional help in any other dimensions. And by simply understanding more of the user behavior, we'll be able to understand how good service, even proactive service, was provided to the user so that they didn't end up actually having a service request at the end of it. AI-first customer service is truly transforming the way businesses interact with their customers. By being able to provide instant answers to customers that are accurate in a cost-effective way, that is going to have a transformative impact on the way they interact with customers. And it's already happening. Businesses are already adopting AI in this way. You can start small, analyzing your queries, finding where would you like to actually adopt AI. Start with answering queries over the weekend or for free users. Iterate, improve, fill the content gaps that you have so that AI can improve. Hire specialists that are going to be able to help you design AI conversations. Think about this, a small business today, by adopting AI, it can actually now provide 24/7 service, multilingual service. Do you know what that does? That makes it go toe-to-toe with some of the largest businesses out there. And today, AI can easily resolve a good portion of that business's queries. But over time, it's going to be 60, 70, 80%, getting better and better at what it's doing. The future of customer service is bright, thanks to the way AI is changing the economics and capabilities of support. Businesses no longer have to make a choice between the quality, speed, and cost effectiveness. They can get all three. AI-first customer service is now offering the trifecta of better, faster, cheaper support solutions.